Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We are so happy you're here today.
On today's video, we're gonna talk about a subject that we went back and forth on whether or not we wanted to share. And it is a serious topic. It is something that when it happened to us, we felt very violated and
Betrayed and vulnerable.
and just didn't really understand how somebody could actually do this. But today's video is about the time that we got catfished. So why don't we get started? Let's start off by talking about when it happened, because it's been some time has went by since it's happened.
Yeah, more than 6 months. It caught us completely off guard. We were not expecting it. And like PJ said, we didn't think that this would actually happen to us, because you hear stories about this all the time. And it took us a while to build up kind of the courage to share it. And it's also something that we weren't sure if we even wanted to share. But I think the point of this is to let others know that this is very real. It could happen to you. So just be careful who you put your trust in, who you allow yourself to trust online.
True. So why don't we talk about kind of the things that happened before the catfish situation happened. So as you guys know, if you watched our video about kids, we want kids in our life. We started the process to foster to adopt maybe a year and a half ago. We signed up for classes.
About a year ago.
About a year ago. And then we weren't able to actually do the classes because we had so many trips planned that we would miss too many of the classes, so we couldn't do it. So we put it on hold, knowing that we were in the mindset that we did want to start a family. We do want to start a family, and we would do it tomorrow if it was a little bit easier. It's just a little bit more complicated for gay couples to have kids. So we were thinking about doing foster to adopt. We were also thinking about surrogacy. We checked into both of those options, talked to lots of different people.
Many different Skype calls. We actually got accepted into some of the programs.
Yeah.
But we put all that on hold.
So that's just kind of like, that was the mindset that we were in about a year ago. Well, a few months after that happened, I was contacted by someone who pretended to be interested in a house that I was showing. And that's not uncommon. I work with out-of-state buyers all the time. The thing that kind of threw me off was after they were talking to me about the house that they saw, then they mentioned that they knew who we were because of Instagram, and they actually saw the house because of Instagram. And so that was somewhat of a red flag for me, but I wasn't too worried at that point.
Yeah.
They then began to call and text about the property, and then started saying that maybe it was a better fit for their daughter. It was supposedly a gay couple, an older gay couple who had kids. And then he started talking about how instead of him wanting to buy the house for himself, that they wanted to buy the house for their daughter. Their daughter wanted to see the house. They wanted to set up an appointment to see the house.
It was like their daughter and her husband, and they live like
Not
close by,
Yeah,
sort of?
not too far from.
That's what they told us.
Right. So that was somewhat of a red flag to me, the way that it just switched from they wanted the house, now their daughter wants the house, now their daughter wants to see the house, their daughter lives close to us. And then while we were on the phone, they were talking about how they had this huge elaborate story about how they adopted kids and had, one of them had been married before and had kids and so on and so forth. And the story just kept getting more elaborate. When he talked about the adoption process, I showed an interest in that, which then led him into then coming up with a story about how they're gonna adopt a baby tomorrow and how they've been in the process, and the attorney that they adopted the other kids through had contacted them and said that there was a mother who needed a quick turnaround, that she was wanting to give her baby up for adoption, and asked if they would want it. So that was all kind of, looking back on it, it should have been a huge red flag. All of it should have been a huge red flag, but I think because of we were vulnerable at the time and we wanted to start a family, and I think you kind of see past that kind of stuff whenever you're in that mind. We were just so excited for them and like finding out this information.
Yeah, I mean, because it's fun anytime someone shows interest in your interests, you know, you want to talk about it. And so like PJ mentioned, I think that they saw an in with us whenever PJ mentioned the kids. And so
Yeah.
they were
Then
weaving their way into our lives that way.
So the next day, they sent us a picture of their newly adopted baby girl. We were excited to be gaining this information from them and their experiences. And then maybe a day or two goes by and they text me and say that, and at this point, both of them are texting me from different numbers. I'm thinking it's two different people, but someone is texting me from two different numbers saying...
I think it was the same day. It was all the same
Maybe the same day. They text me and say that the attorney that they've worked with, that they've adopted 3 kids through, just had an adoption that fell through, and they're needing a parent, an adoptive parent, for not just one, but 2 separate babies. That one was a few months out from giving birth, and one had an adoption that just fell through and she had already given birth. So baby boy, just tons of information that seemed legit because it was so detailed.
Lots of little information like, oh, this mother was on this drug, or like this was a little boy who has blue eyes, and
like talked about the mother, how the mother looked. There was just so much detail.
Yeah.
That it seemed real. At that point, he asked if we would be interested in adopting the baby. We said, of course. The attorney was supposed to be calling us. The next day I get a call, or maybe the same day I get a call from a blocked number, and I don't answer blocked calls. And so I didn't answer it, and then he texted me and said, hey, the attorney tried to call you. She's in a meeting now, but she'll call you later. I thought that was kind of strange, but whatever.
Meanwhile, during all of this, he also slides in, hey, we go to vacation every year at this ski resort. We would love for you guys to come with us this time. So-and-so goes, and we'd love to invite, and we were kind of like,
that's weird.
It's kind of weird that he would invite us, but I mean, whatever. We're just talking mainly about the adoption, though.
Yeah. So that we did think that was weird, and he kept bringing it up. But that was also, he brought it up initially before he mentioned the baby for adoption.
Yeah.
So I think he was really just trying to find ways to get in with us. So then the next day, day 3 happens, and for some reason, I'm just really like starting to feel like this is weird. This is strange. I've heard stories where people have adoptions that are like this, and I was like, I think the whole time we're thinking, this is that crazy story that you hear about how they wanted a baby and then it just happened.
Like it's too good to be true, but there's a small part of you that's like, this could really happen. And I think we were in the mindset, we still want kids so badly, and we were blinded, and we let ourselves believe something that we should have known wasn't real right off the bat.
The next day, I finally am like, I want to research as much as I can about this person. So I get on Facebook, I type in their name, I actually find them. I had done that previously and never found them. I did it again and I found him. It was a picture of a guy playing a piano, or maybe just a piano, and I remember him mentioning that they had this whole elaborate story about how his husband worked in the church and was a organist and like well known, and he plays with some other famous woman, and that he was going to be in Nashville. All these crazy, crazy stories. Anyways, I start scrolling through this Facebook page, and I'm like, okay, this is legit. This seems like a real person. And then I get to a picture of our house. So not only was it a picture of our house, but it was also a caption that we had wrote that they had tweaked to make fit their lifestyle, like putting their name in it and being like, instead of like, we're sitting in the living room listening to Bossa Nova radio, we're sitting in the living room and so-and-so is playing the piano and blah, blah, blah. That immediately made me furious.
And there were like dozens of pictures too. And it was like, there was even some pictures of our last house on there.
So they'd been doing it for a while. I'm taking screenshots of everything. And then I'm texting Thomas, sending him the screenshots. I'm getting furious. He's getting sick to his stomach.
Like both of us were so, like our stomachs just sank whenever we saw this.
So then after I took a screenshot of everything that I could find, I then called this person and I'm like, hey, is this so-and-so? And they were like, I hope so. And I was fuming at this point. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. I just found your Facebook page and I noticed that you have pictures of our house with our captions. And then he starts backtracking saying that, wait, where did you find this? Whose name was it under? And pretending like he's pulling it up. And so then as I'm explaining this to him and he's saying, no, somebody must have done this to us. Somebody hacked us or stole our identity and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of somewhat believing him. But as I was telling him this, every picture was disappearing. I'd refresh and a picture would be gone. I'd refresh it again and something else would be gone. I'm like, that's really weird. So then I'm just like, you know what would make me feel better? Send a picture of yourself with your driver's license with your information on it. And then he's like, I would never do that, but I'll do it for you. So we hang up. He's supposed to send me the picture. And then I never hear from him again. I call him like 20 times, and he never answers. I call the other number, who was supposed to be his husband. That number is now disconnected. I'm texting, no response whatsoever.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. PJ was getting more and more angry. I was getting more and more sad. And it was just a really rough time for like a couple of days. We didn't really know what to think. It was one of those things where we never thought it would happen to us. We were just way too trusting, and it really sucked.
Right. The only thing that I could find that was on the Facebook page was that one of the pictures he had sent, who was supposed to be his eldest daughter, was commenting on this fake profile, pretending like she was interacting with this other person. This was a fake account, and this was a real girl commenting on it. So I knew she had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. And then over the next week, I'm gathering all of this information about him and about his so-called daughter and about her boyfriend, who do actually live somewhat close to where we live.
Right. PJ goes into like full detective mode. He's researching it. I think I was trying to just forget it ever happened, but PJ was really interested in finding out who these people were and why they did this to us.
Where they worked.
Yeah.
Everything that I could find out about them, I did. I had talked to... I got legal advice, talked to attorneys, talked to the police force, and then literally gathered as much information as I could about them and their family members and who they were related to and their friends, everything. I was messaging their friends on Facebook. I just wanted to be prepared, basically. I wanted to know as much about them before I moved forward with any other type of contact with them.
Because if they were doing it to us, chances are they were doing it to other people. And we wanted to, PJ mainly just wanted to make sure that they couldn't hurt anyone else again like they did what they did to us.
Yeah, so I got all the information that I needed about them, and I talked to an attorney who we'll use if we need to in the future for this type of stuff, or if they ever decide to come back into the picture. So we know everything that we need to know about them. So all that happened over the next week. And then maybe about a month later, the craziest thing happened.
Yes.
And this is where this guy messed up, because he sent me a real picture of a real person that was involved in this process. The eldest daughter, who I had found on Facebook. I knew what she looked like. I knew what her boyfriend looked like. It was, I think, around the holidays, maybe Thanksgiving.
It was actually Black Friday.
Black Friday. So we went to Target, because we go to Target every Black Friday, and we were shopping. We walk out of Target, and as we're walking out, there's these two people that are walking into Target, and when I see them, I immediately like, whoa, how do I know these people? Why do I know these people? Why do they look familiar? And I get past them, and I turn around and I look back, and they're like talking to each other walking into Target, and it hit me, and I said, Thomas, it's them.
And as soon as, I have chills actually just talking about it. As soon as he said that, I knew exactly who he was talking about, and my stomach sank again.
So then I'm like, put the stuff in the car, we're going back in. So anyways, we go back in and we start calling the numbers that we had. The one is disconnected, but the other one still rings, but then goes to voicemail.
We thought that if we called the numbers that we had, that maybe one of them in Target would answer, and we'd be like, oh, okay, that confirms that they were in fact the ones catfishing us. But alas, they didn't pick up.
They never picked up. They're walking through Target. We started at the beginning of Target where you got the dollar section.
We made it all the way back,
and then we did men's clothing, and then we did electronics, and then we did books. By the time we got to books, I was furious, and I was like, I am going up and I'm talking to these people.
And I was like, PJ, no, let's just go. I was like, we are close enough. We don't need to mess with it. Let's just go. I turn to look at something, and I turn back, and PJ is gone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, PJ, where is he? And then I look across the aisle, and he's walking towards the people, and I'm like, oh God, this is about to be bad.
So in the middle of Black Friday shopping, Target's crazy. I walk up to them and introduce myself as if they don't know who I am. And then go over this whole process with them, talking about them. She then says that the guy that I had been talking to was her dad's boyfriend, who's crazy, and that he's catfished other people before. He catfished someone in California.
A guy in California.
Named Matthew or Matt. And So then I don't believe that it's not them. I really do think that it was them that had called us. And she's like, I can call him right now. And I'm like, okay, call him.
Yeah.
And so I made her call him, and she calls and somebody answers, and I'm like, okay, she's just faking. And I'm like, give me your phone. And I make her give me her phone, and then I am talking to I got confused at that point because she had called her dad, and I was thinking that he was the person I talked to, but it really...
It was her dad's boyfriend.
It was her dad's boyfriend.
Who you were talking to, right?
Who I had been talking to.
We leave Target on a good note with the woman and the man that we saw. She says, I'm sorry.
She said that she would help us out in any way that she could. And
then like a month later, PJ receives these messages on Facebook where the guy was like, if you faggots don't leave us alone, I'm going to call the cops, leave my family alone. And
I never talked to you. I don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And it was the same Facebook account that I had found. So now that it is a real person and it is a real Facebook account. And this is, I don't know. It was kind of unbelievable that all of that transpired and went down the way it did, because they contacted us. They came to us. And then they realized that they had messed up. And so then they were trying to flip the story like we were contacting them and bugging them. All of it was just wild and crazy and insane. And again, the main reason that we're sharing this today is because, one, it's almost unbelievable. And two, don't think that it can't happen to you if you let your guard down for even a second, because it can, and it really is hurtful and it really sucks. Yeah. So it took us a long time to get past this. And, it's been over 6 months since we've talked about it. And we didn't know for sure if we were going to share it. But I feel like it's something that you guys should be prepared to maybe go through. Don't put yourself out there to where you're so vulnerable that you fall for these stupid people that do stupid things. But I think that's really it. That's all that we really want to share. There's a lot to the story. It's a long story. This is just kind of hitting the highlights of it. Mm-hmm. But just be careful out there, guys. Social media, it has so many great things about it, but it also has some things that are not so great. So that's that. We hope you enjoyed the video. It is something that we've talked about sharing with you guys, and a lot of you keep asking about the crazy person that we've referenced before. So that's that. That's all the attention that we're going to give it.
Yes, no
more.
We're
going to end it. So if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Hit that button.
Please. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments down below what kind of video you want to see next.
Until next time.
Bye, y'all.